Hello, Chih-Chien. How are you?
I'm good. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you.
Thank Good to see you. Thank you for doing this interview with us from Montreal. It's really nice that you could be here with us and talk a little bit about your work in our current exhibition, Reshaping Collections, where history meets art. Thank you for doing this with us. So we've had your work in our exhibition for about 6 months now in Reshaping Collections. Um, why don't you begin by talking a little bit about your artistic practice and um, about photography and how you come about and do the work that you do?
Okay. So thank you. Thanks, Melissa. I was very happy to be able to go to Vancouver to see the collection, to see the work, and to see the museum in a way that I feel it's an interesting journey to me. Somehow because like as a newcomer, I still consider myself as a newcomer. It's only
How long have you been in Canada?
20 years, 20, more than 20 years. The funny thing is I actually arrived in Vancouver first.
Oh, that's a
Yep.
very common Chinese Canadian journey. Everyone arrives in Vancouver first. So, and
Mhm.
then they move to the East Coast. So you're following the same journey that our ancestors did from the 1800s.
I guess so. The reason probably is a little different because I feel that beauty in Vancouver when I landed, and then the mountain and the ocean, the street, everything was so nice. And I suddenly felt I wasn't I feel quite strange why I was not used to such a beautiful and clean place. And I had a little bit panic. I think this place doesn't belong to me, or I don't belong to this place. And that was funny because then I thought maybe I should find somewhere which is a bit just like a bit random or a little bit chaotic. I don't know. I was searching for somewhere which I find can suit that kind of life pace, like in Asia, like in Taiwan, in Taipei.
Right. Well,
Okay.
because I was going to say that there are beautiful mountains in Taiwan and rivers as well, but if you are from Taipei, then that is more of a city feeling.
Yeah, that kind of space is calm, and even though it was actually something I was longing for, but somehow I also feel distanced. And that kind of comfort actually comes back to the city, the vibe of city itself, and what I can do in the city. Yeah, I think finding a place that feels at home, feels comfortable is maybe the starting point, but it's also not that easy, I would say. That it's a different country, a different culture, or different multicultural culture, and this expectation of feeling comfort somehow also is I think we also need to take the chance, right? Take the challenge to try to adapt to the places where we lived. So that when I came to Canada and then later landed, decided to move to Montreal, I also decided to restart my study because back in Taiwan, I finished my bachelor. I was working for TV companies, making TV documentaries, and I feel like to have something continuing to work on visual materials, but somehow give myself more freedom, not to work with a team, but more start from the beginning to the end. I can execute my own ideas and my own curiosity. So I decided to, by moving to the east, coming to Montreal also to restart my study, going to the master program. And I naturally chose photography. Somehow it's very much connected to what I did in the past. And the very first project I made was called Rice Space. Probably you haven't seen that because it's a project I don't show it and to people. But it's something interesting to me. The project was quite funny. So I asked a couple. They are both Asian. They put the rice on their face, on each other's face. So the couple, they are covered, their face are covered by rice, and then I asked them to eat the rice off each other's face. I don't mean they need to just having their mouths up close to the other, but they can pick the rice off the other person's face and then just eat it. By eating this process, revealing each other's face again.
I was
Yeah,
going to say that's a very, just hearing the action and the direction of that project, it's a very intimate action, and very nice to do it when you think about asking a couple, where so much of being a couple together is having these intimate gestures that you are both part of. It's like an intimate language. I wanted to ask, it's interesting to me that you worked in documentary filming in Taipei, but when you moved to Canada, moved not you moved into photography. But the natural step that I would think of is a type of photography that's related to realism or documentation, but instead you went into conceptual photography. Why is that?
I guess I was shy. I I was, even though it was interesting, that partially I was confident about the camera itself. Like maybe we have better or we have enough training technically. I don't feel challenged with the camera. And also because I have been using camera for quite a few years before arriving in Montreal, and I was working in a professional field. I also I I feel that power what camera can brought to the interaction once the camera is set, and then people in front of it becomes more vulnerable. And that idea of having a camera to look at someone is always very challenging, and sometimes it could be a very loud gesture. And at the time, I do feel that I wanted to be a bit to slow it down, but also to do something a little bit distanced, not so straightforward, and also give myself that kind of space to contemplate, to think of my own position or my surroundings or the people I'm with or my friends, to look at everyone but not so closely.
I understand that. I really think about how, as you know, it is very judgmental to aim a camera at someone. You think about the language, point and shoot. It's very, um, confrontational almost. And so it really makes sense to me that you would try to think of a way around that type of language, but by using the same instrument and move towards conceptual. And that's very nice, and makes me understand your work more. Can you talk a little bit about how, I guess, how you felt when I invited you to do this project. Just for background, the Chung collection in Vancouver by Wallace B. Chung, 25,000 objects, foremost collection of Chinese Canadian objects and the Pacific Railway in Canada, housed in the University of British Columbia. When I invited you, Chih-Chien, to come across the country to Vancouver and look at the objects and see if you could make new artwork about it. Have you ever done anything like this before?
My project somehow, even though I consider usually is a kind of is research based and conceptual, but somehow my research is more spontaneous and also somehow a kind of connection. Like I'm creating a kind of network by using images or research images to search for meanings or to search for some answers to my everyday questions, or very fundamental but also slightly abstract questions. So focusing on Chun collection, looking at archive with its own like the quantity, the system itself, it's a very different approach for me, but it also sounds fun. Yeah, I do feel that if there was this opportunity to look into a big body of archival materials, and I must be able to learn something from it. Yeah.
And when you came here to Vancouver to go through the collection, did you find any familial connection with the objects? Like, I know, a lot of the collection were Chinese Canadians that came 1800s, 1900s. When you were looking through the papers and photographs and objects that you eventually chose, did you choose those because you felt a particular connection, or were they more interesting as aesthetic objects?
I have curiosity, very simple curiosities. I wonder how they live. I wonder how they have their social life. I wonder how they have relationship, how they have how they had families, and all these things I find, even though it's 100 years ago, but there would be something that we can still share or we can understand. And I think making work, because of my nature of my practice, that I feel that close connection is quite important. That I can see those material and imagining how I be in their position would use them, or how I speak and talk to the other person.
And I wanted to ask you in particular some of the letters that you chose. Some of our visitors that are more newcomers as well, who can read the Chinese, they feel this affinity. They like to stand there and read the photographed letters that you chose. Why did you choose those letters? And can you tell us a little bit more about what they say?
It's most letters are someone sent to Qmao, yep. And they, because the family, they are important, they are significant, they have resource.
You're talking about the Yip family
Yes.
here. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Somehow they like either these people are their maybe distant families, or someone like friend. They are often asking for support.
Yes.
Yeah. And I feel that sense of urgent need that in the past, it's a little bit interesting, right? Nowadays, when we when we need help, we go to our close families.
Yes.
Yeah. But I feel they are not that close. I feel they are helping or they are expecting to or asking for help because this person is either there's a reputation or there's a
Mm.
ender or he or the family has already sufficient of resource that they can actually be kind to help the others. And I feel that there's something is the text that the taste of this request is quite complicated.
I think that fits with the historical knowledge of what we know, because the original owner of the building, Yip Sang, he often acted as a CPR agent, helping Chinese people, the workers, come over from China to Vancouver to work on the railroad. And he also started the first Chinese Benevolent Association. And the Benevolent Associations were started as almost a network to help people that were far away from their families, almost to act as a surrogate family, to help them with money, to help them with kind of needs that they might need, like find a place to live or these kind of things. So it makes sense that the family, if they were writing, they would write to the different members of the Yip family as a go-between. And so it has special resonance because it's being displayed in our museum, which is housed in the Wing Sang building, which is the home of the Yips as well.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask also, is you came with your son. Is this the first time you've taken your son on a business trip? And I'd like to know what he thought of the whole research trip. If he had some insights that kind of helped you with your artistic process.
I like to travel with him. It's like it's not always easy. He's like a teenager, right? And this age they have lots of opinions. And yeah, what I like doesn't mean he would like.
Of course.
Yes, it's lots of negotiation, but I guess parents just like to have their children around. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I have two daughters. I have an 11-year-old, and I take her on a lot of things, but I think because everything is really an educational process. And so it's part of the educational process of their growing up that they see how their parents work.
Yes, and also Vancouver is beautiful. And if he and also yeah, like I was happy that if he could travel with me, go to the other side of Canada, he knows Canada better,
Mm.
and to see the land and then also to see the mountain, the ocean, and then to see some kind of collection that he might not feel that much connected to, but actually there might be something that we don't know, right? And another thing is that when I was making work, I quite often feel the need of kind of the presence of a body, either my own body, either my son's body. Somehow their body, I feel, is providing a very organic matter and can activate things and can make some either objects or messages become more uh, alive and more playful. So there was no specific plan, but I think he go there with me. We share a nice trip, and then we have a look at the mountain, the city, and then we look at the collection. He was bored. Yeah.
But I sometimes think the boredom has a purpose too for children, that they are not engaged at that moment, but maybe sometime from now they remember that moment and something helps their education later on that that moment happened. And I think I really like the way that you described that it's inserting a body and almost something playfulness um, within the work, which is why actually I wanted to invite artists to intervene and to make this collection, which has been sitting in UBC for 25 years. Some of the objects have been sitting in for over 100 years, more playful and alive. And I think that that was hopefully the goal, to inject life into a collection and have new work made out of it as well.
Mhm.
I wanted to also ask about the use of 3D scanning, which you have used in your photography before. Uh, at first, what is your interest in it and when you started to do it, and why the type of objects you chose for this project we worked on together?
Yeah. The current collection, there are so many items. It's really uh hard to make a decision. And I came back with this intuition. I wanted to see what connects to our everyday life, right? So some objects like kitchen utensils or something related to medicine, to life saving. I have also borrowed a life jacket. I took photos of it, but in the end, visually, because they need to work together in this whole wall, the whole sequence. So I didn't include it. But this idea of searching for something very close to us, something that we probably need them, but is essential need, is important. But looking at them is one thing. How to um, abstract them, how to make them into something that has a distance, they still leave a trace that we can partially guess, partially or recreate a narrative out of this object. I think is quite important, because literally represent one thing. One object has its narrative power, but this abstraction making is giving it some kind of extra potential. So I chose something. For example, my son, he was holding this medicine jar, and then that the jar itself, there's lots of it's small, but lots of traces of the Chinese medicine. I assume because of the color, it is very earthy, brownish, and medicine is also something essential, right? If people get sick, people work from somewhere far away from home, and then might not have that much access to doctor, to any kind of support. So it's like my parents, when we moved from the south of Taiwan to the north of Taiwan, we all have different kind of strange medicine at home just to deal with our little problems. And that kind of very essential, but also very everyday objects, I feel can help me to, again, to create a connection to the past. And partially, I also, like, there was an image of a gentleman sitting on a chair.
Mhm.
That's something I, because there's another envelope which was open, and there was writing. It's mostly sending this photo. The open envelope is should have contain a photo, but the photo was not there. We don't see the photo, and that was sent back to, I think, back to China or somewhere, to this person's family members, distant family, to show her how he looks like. And there was a kind of intention of partially making connection to distant family partially present maybe the most beautiful part of this person himself, right? And this idea of self-representation, this idea of dignity, this idea of that we travel far away because we are searching for a better life, and I want to show and prove to my distant families that I am doing well.
And that is really clear to me now, the connection in the sequence from the way that you described it between the different photographs. Did you find also, I know we started out this interview with you talking about landing in Vancouver as a newcomer 20 years ago. Did you, when you looked through the Chung collection archives, did you find a personal connection in these immigrants in the collection, these Chinese immigrants that also came to Vancouver as a newcomers? Did you ever think about that when you were making the work?
Yeah, I do. I feel very genuine, and also it's like it it wrap you. It's like a big blanket, like that feeling of living somewhere, going toward a new place, expecting a new life, or hoping to make more money, hoping to have better status, or hoping to have better to learn, to have new knowledge, to transform themselves, and then to become either a better person or new person. I think this kind of expectation is very much shared. But I also feel how lucky we are nowadays that our journey was much simpler and easier. Our job, because of what they have fighted in the past, they gave us this opportunity, right, to be a person that we wanted to be. And that kind of history in the past, I somehow, that's another reason that I was having fun asking my son to interact with these objects, because when I was looking at him and then looking at that distant gentleman 100 years ago, thinking of that kind of elegant gesture to present themselves, and my son is almost like grandparents, a grandparent to me, right? Right now, like I look at him and think this young boy came from far away, arriving in Vancouver, and then trying so hard to develop his life, to learn, to have a better status, and that's something beautiful.
It is. It's really beautiful. And then it's beautiful to have that connection now in the 21st century where we can do that and talk about this online too. So I think that's a really natural place, I think, to finish our interview. The Chung, the Reshaping Collections exhibition is on until end of September this year at the Chinese Canadian Museum on 51 East Pender Street. Thank you so much, Chih-Chien, for the interview with us.
Thank you, Melissa.
This podcast was recorded on the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. We invite you all to reflect on the territories that you're on and the host nations, and pay respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging. This Schoolroom Special Series, featuring the artists in Reshaping Collections, was made possible with funding from the City of Vancouver and the Province of British Columbia. To learn more about the Chinese Canadian Museum and book tickets, visit us at www.chinesecanadianmuseum.ca and follow us on Instagram at ccmuseumbc for updates. The Schoolroom is presented by the Chinese Canadian Museum, hosted by Dr. Melissa Carmen Lee and produced by Rosalie Gunawan. Production of this video podcast special series is supported by Adrian Ma and Haley Sang-Savan. Videography is by Wakefield Agency and Elwin Xie. The theme music and original audio was created by Joshua Young, and graphic design is by Studio Pian Pian He and Max Harvey. Stay tuned for the next episode of The Schoolroom, available wherever you get your podcasts.